Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhagavad Gita chapter summary series. Today we will be discussing chapter number 8. The title of chapter number 8 is Attaining the Supreme. Okay. In the previous chapter, chapter number 7, which is knowledge of the absolute, last week we discussed that in order to reach the Supreme, okay, in order to attain the Supreme, we need this knowledge. Which knowledge? Knowledge of the absolute, and hence the code was also reached. So in order to reach the supreme, we need knowledge of the absolute. Okay. Now today's chapter title is Attaining the Supreme. So now once with that knowledge of chapter 7, someone can actually attain the supreme, and that is the biggest deal one can achieve in his human life. People think that to attain a luxurious car is a very big deal, or maybe to build a house or a building or a mansion, a big one. It's a big deal. Or some for some people, getting a promotion or a job or a high level, high paying or a high designation job. So for some people, building a business empire, that is a big deal. But when you attain the supreme, that is the biggest deal because उसमें सब कुछ आ गया. Then you need nothing else, right? Like Dhruva Maharaj, for example. So when Dhruva Maharaj left his palace and he wanted, what did he want? He wanted the biggest empire. He wanted the biggest kingdom, more greater than his great grandfather, right? So he was doing continuous austerities to get that. But later on, when he did those austerities and Krishna actually came and he got the darshan, so that time he said, he bowed down to Krishna and he said, "Oh, I was such a fool. I was asking for some glass pieces, and while you gave me a priceless jewel by you coming yourself. I have attained you." Okay. And that is most priceless ever. Now I don't need anything else. Why did he say that? Because he knows once you attain the supreme, you don't need anything else. Usme sab kuch aa gaya. Right. So, would you like to learn some tips and tricks to crack this biggest deal in your life? As you must have guessed that the code for today's chapter is, any guesses? What is the code for today's chapter?
Crack.
Any random guesses?
Is it hack?
Hack. Okay, somebody else. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just a guess. From so far, the introduction, what do you think the code could be? You can type on the chat or unmute yourself. I'll wait for a few seconds for some more answers. So today's code is deal because attaining the supreme is the biggest deal of your life. Okay. So it's DEAL. So D stands for doubts, E stands for end of life, A stands for attaining the supreme, and L stands for love and devotion. For those who are taking notes, I repeat, D stands for doubts, E stands for end of life, A stands for attaining the supreme, and L stands for love and devotion. Okay, so the first four verses of this chapter, it's beginning with so we have summarized it as D, doubts. Why? Because as we said in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, that this whole Bhagavad Gita is a conversation, is a chat between Krishna and Arjuna, where Krishna is acting like Chat GPT. Okay, Arjuna is throwing various prompts and Krishna is replying back. And then Arjuna throws more prompts and Krishna replies back. Yeah. So just like that, um, here also in this chapter, Arjuna starts with 8 questions. Why 8? Because chapter 8. No, just kidding. So, at any point of time in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna does not reprimand Arjuna saying, Arey, why you're asking so many questions? Bata diya na. You have to fight. Just go and fight. No. Krishna is patiently answering and he is encouraging Arjuna to intelligently contemplate all his answers and subsequently make his own decisions. So, Krishna is giving that free will to Arjuna. He's not forcing him. Okay. So Arjuna starts this chapter with 8 questions to Krishna. He's saying, what are the 8 questions? First question he's asking is, what is Brahman? Then second is, what is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is the material manifestation? Who are the demigods? Because in the previous chapter, he spoke about demigod worship. He's asking, who are these demigods? And then he's asking, who is the Lord of all sacrifices? And how does he live in the body? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? So these are the 8 questions that Arjuna has asked to Krishna. So Krishna concisely answers 7 of Arjuna's 8 questions immediately in short, and then he prepares to answer the final question, which what was the last question? That how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? This question, now Krishna is going to spend the entire rest of the chapter dedicated to answering this last one. Okay, so moving on, E, end of life, which is verse number 5 to 8. Here, he is actually answering the last question. In 8.5, Krishna says, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nasti atra samshayah, which means whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone. Alone is important. Remembering me alone at once attains my nature. Of this, there is no doubt. This is what Krishna is saying, which means that if anybody at the point of death, at his last breath, okay, quits his body remembering Krishna, what will happen to such a person? At once, huh? At once, what will happen? He will attain Krishna's nature, and of this, there is no doubt. Okay, so if you want to go back to Krishna, if you want to attain Krishna's nature, what you need to do is at the end of your life, okay, at the last breath, you just need to remember Krishna, but Krishna alone. ऐसे नहीं थोड़ा कृष्णा को याद किया, थोड़ा अरे मेरा विल नहीं बनाया है, उसका क्या होगा, मेरे बच्चों का क्या होगा, all of that. So normally those are the thoughts at the end of the life, correct? So what is the hack to crack this biggest deal of your life? To remember Krishna at the last minute. Okay, we got that. Now, somebody will think death is uncertain, okay? It can come anytime, anywhere. We don't know what we are thinking at that time, right? Therefore, how can we actually do this? How can we actually think about Krishna at the time of death? Is by thinking of Krishna all the time. So only if we think of Krishna all the time, if we remember him all the time, that is when we are prepared कि whenever that will come, we know that we have attained this one. So in the previous chapter, we had discussed some of the ways to remember Krishna all the time. Yeah, remember where Krishna was telling his own attributes. I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that. And we saw that by remembering these attributes, we can use it in our daily life. Does anybody remember any of that from last week? Krishna says,
पानी
I
में
am. Hmm?
पानी में मैं
हाँ, I
heat
am the
में मैं
taste of water. Okay,
I
yes.
am in the heat
Heat in the fire. Krishna says, I am the heat in the fire. Yes. Yeah. Anything else? Anybody else remembers anything?
I am the source of light.
Okay. I am the source of light, the sunlight, moonlight. Yes. Very nice. So, yes, Krishna is telling so many things that he is the ability in man and he is the life of every living entity. So, we discussed last class that whenever we drink water, we can remember Krishna because he says, I am the taste of water. He says, I am the smell of the fragrance of the earth. So whenever there is rain, we said that we can remember Krishna. Yeah. And then Then he says that I'm the heat in the fire. So when it's very hot, that time we can remember Krishna. And we also discuss the morning routine where we wake up, we drink water. So we say, I'm the taste in water. We remember Krishna. We turn on the water heater for the geyser. We remember water and heat. So that's Krishna. And so on and so forth. This is how we can remember Krishna all the time so that we are prepared for that last final exam where it could come any minute. And that time we are remembering Krishna, and that's it. We have our biggest deal cracked, right? But we see that from last week to this week, we couldn't remember all those attributes, right? Even there were like handful of them, like maybe 10 or 11 we discussed, but we couldn't remember. So if we cannot remember from last week to now, when we are actually in the mood of discussing Bhagavad Gita, how do we expect to remember during the most difficult exam of our life, which is death? Okay. And why is this the most difficult exam of our life, guys? Because at the time of death, we need to imagine that in one moment, that just one moment, everything that you think that you possess, you own, is taken away from you. Now imagine if you lost your wallet, if you lost your phone, okay, for some time, you misplaced it, okay, and you cannot find it. So you really get into a panic mode, okay, till you don't find it. Even if you might be calm externally, but in your mind, you're still thinking about that. Or maybe you lose your car key or house key or access card or something like that. You keep thinking, although you might be doing other things, but you keep thinking of that. Oh my God, where will I find it? Where did I keep it? So your mind is thinking about those things and not about the things that you have lost, but not about Krishna. So in this last moment, it's not one thing that you're going to lose. You're going to lose everything at that 1 minute. So imagine that the more possessions, the more ownerships you think you have, because we know we are not the owner, he's the owner. But if you have this ownership mentality, then believe me, it's going to be more difficult to remember Krishna at that last minute because you're going to be attached to all of that. So somebody says, no, no, I am a minimalistic person, okay? I don't have so many attachments, and it's okay. I have lost my money and I have lost my jewelry and I have lost my wallet, phone multiple times. I'm very calm. I don't get bothered about these things. Okay, good for you. Very nice. But remember, at the point of death, not only do you lose everything, but you also lose everyone. Okay. Now imagine when we lose just one person in our life, maybe because of death or separation or migration or any other reasons. Okay. There are multiple reasons that during the lifetime or at the end of their life, we lose people. Okay. When we lose just one person, we take years to recoup from that loss, right? Sometimes we can never recoup from there. So the effect is that traumatizing. So now imagine not just one, all your relations, every single person is going to be lost, okay, at that point of death. So then you think how and when and is it possible? How feasible is it to remember Krishna? Now then coming up, somebody says, no, no, I'm already detached. I have lost so many people, in my life. People just cheated me. Now I am done with everybody. I don't have attachment towards all of these things. And I think I can remember Krishna because I don't have many things to possess, or I don't have many people whom I call my own. Okay, good for you. But remember the last thing. The last thing is that at the time of death, it's going to be so, so painful that it is thousands of scorpions biting you at the same time. It's going to be so painful. So at that time, can you remember Krishna? So whenever you are in pain, do you actually remember Krishna? When we are not feeling well, when we have a little bit of stomach upset or headache or something like that, uneasiness, that time our chanting goes out. We think, Are nahi yaar, aaj nahi ho raha hai. So, so all of this combined together at that one last minute. So that is why that is called the most difficult exam of our life. Now, somebody would say, like, hey, why are you talking about this depressing topic like death? It's Saturday morning, it's weekend. Come on. So, I would say that imagine that you're going to watch a movie. Okay. Now, when you are going to watch a movie, okay, you meet someone who just watched it and coming out of there. Okay. So now you are on your way to the movie theater and somebody is already coming out having watched the previous show. And then that guy tells you, hey, you know what? I just watched this movie and you won't guess what happens. I will tell you, at the end, and you're like, wait. Don't tell me. I am just going to watch the movie. Okay, don't spoil the whole film for me by telling what happened, right? So, similarly, those who are engaged in this material worldly pursuits, okay, they think that thinking about or contemplating about the end of this whole story is gonna spoil it for them. So it thinks that it will just spoil this movie of life for them. Okay, so they don't want to discuss about it at all. But for those who are engaged in spiritual activities, they don't feel depressed by discussing the end of this story, because their perspective is much broader. They know that for one who is born, death is certain, and for one who dies, another birth is around the corner. And this Krishna had already explained in chapter 2, Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara, right? That after death is birth, after birth is death. It's just like changing of clothes, we are changing the body. So that is why these kind of topics don't disturb a spiritualist. So Krishna explains that how a person's thoughts at the point of death, that will sum up their consciousness and aspirations which he has cultivated throughout his own life. So what happens is that whatever state of mind one is at the time of death, that will determine their next situation. So, for those who remember Krishna, we'll go to Krishna. If you remember something else, you know what's gonna happen. And Krishna says, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajat ya ante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitah. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. And that brings an end to the end of life section E. Moving on to A, after attaining the Supreme. So, after attaining the Supreme, what happens? We know the hack to crack our biggest deal, which is attaining the Supreme. Now, what happens after you have actually done this? So, Krishna says in a shloka where he says, Mam upetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanah samsiddhim paramam gataha. He says that after attaining me, the great souls, Mahatma, who are yogis in devotion, they never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection. Now, you see in this shloka, Krishna is calling the material world as Dukkhalay and Ashashvatam. He's describing it in two words. Dukh ka alay is Dukkhalay, okay, where a place where dukh is stored, okay, where miseries are stored, because Granthalaya is a place where books are stored, and so on and so forth. So, why is Krishna calling this place Dukh ka alay, like a place of miseries? Someone could say, but I am very happy here, I have a degree, I have a job, I have a business, I have a house, family, and so many things. I am not in Dukh over here. I'm very happy. So the answer to that is it's not just Dukhalay, it's also Ashashvatam. Ashashvatam means what? Temporary. That the pleasures are temporary over here. So let's take an example, example where there's a person, okay, and now this person is standing in front of a bucket of water, and there is another person who forcibly puts the entire head of this first person inside the bucket of water, and now he's gasping for breath. Okay, he's almost about to give up, and then the person lets him go, and he takes up his head from the bucket of water, and he takes few breaths. And when he's doing that and he's feeling relieved, again his head is forcibly put into the bucket of water. And like this, it's going on and on and on. So again inside, and then he's gasping for breath, and then again some moments of relief. Then again inside, and then some moments of relief. So the pleasures in this material world are exactly like that. It is not actually pleasures, it's not happiness, okay? It's just temporary relief from the normal miseries. How can I say this? Because if you say that your degree makes you happy, You have to remember the years of sacrifice and the austerity you went through for that achieving that degree. If you say your job or business that makes you happy, you have to remember the sacrifice of time, the precious human life that you're giving away against that happiness that you're deriving from your job or business. And about the house, we all know the construction of house is so difficult, so painstaking, right? How many hours you spend and you have to deal with contractors, etc. Nowadays, bigger the house, it better it is for the maids and the pets. How many hours even you spend inside the house. Then family. When somebody says, "Oh, I'm very happy. I have a beautiful wife." Okay, the wedding is very happy affair, but the marriage. Okay, I'm not talking about that. Kids. When people say, "Oh, kids make me happy," but then when the kids fall sick when they are very young, or even after they grow, when they go through their setbacks of life, how much painful it is, right? So, isn't it dukkhalaya shashvatam? Right? So Krishna is telling over here from the highest planet in this material world, okay, which is the planet of Brahma, to the lowest. All are places of misery. Okay, and birth and death is repeating in all these planets, right? But one who attains Krishna's abode, he never takes birth again. So he has found the exit from this cycle of birth and death, miserable cycle. So, for all of us, let us work towards getting out of this material world, which is Dukhalaya, and go to another place, which is the spiritual world, which is full of Anand and it is eternal, which means Shashwat. Only if our daily activities here in this life are aimed in that direction to going back over there, will we become truly Anandi. Okay, and last part L, loving devotion. Since various scriptural practices are discussed in this chapter, so what happens is in the end, Krishna is concluding by outlining the most effective process to attain the Supreme, okay, which is Bhakti Yoga. We saw how difficult it is to remember Krishna at the end of our life, how difficult this final exam is. So, what we need to do is we need to prepare from right now, okay. So, how we can do that? Krishna is explaining us we can do that by bhakti yoga, the path of active service to God in a mood of devotion, loving devotion. This is the topmost spiritual path that with love and devotion we worship the Lord and then we offer all our activities towards Him with this loving devotion, and that is called bhakti yoga. Now, in this age where everything is all about me and Mera, and there is so much temptation, yeah, and there are so many individual weaknesses, we say after listening to this lecture Saturday morning, we are like all pepped up. Okay, we will do chanting, I want to take my spiritual life seriously, I want to get out of this cycle and all of that. But then the individual weakness comes in, laziness comes in, and lethargy comes in, or maybe some Vastu Shastra effect that happens after the class is over, and then you think, oh no, we can do it another day. Or maybe we get tempted, okay, let me try this today, maybe something else I want to do. All these things are there. It's very common for all of us because it's Kali Yuga. So, in this way, Krishna is recommending a highly practical and powerful spiritual process for us, for people of these kind of weaknesses and who fall into temptation, which is chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Just by chanting the name of the Lord, you can exit out of this cycle, and that we all know from the story of Ajamil. Most of us know the story where he was at his deathbed and he called out to his son, whose name was Narayan. So the Yamdoots were coming in to take him because he had done a lot of evil things or sinful activities in his life. But just because he called that name, Narayan, which is Lord's name, the Krishna Doots, they came there and to take him, and finally he was able to exit from this Dukkhale or Shashvatam cycle. Right. So, similarly, for us, if we keep chanting the holy name of the Lord, we can also remember Krishna or chant this name even unintentionally. And the test where you are, if you want to assess yourself before the exam, you want to assess yourself, like, right, how will you fare? It's a preliminary exam where you give. So what you can do is, whenever you are in a situation where something sudden happens, something falls down, or some kid is about to fall down, or a car comes in between, so there is an instant reactive word which comes out of your mouth, and it should be Krishna's, one of Krishna's name. It should not be anything else. Normally it's abusive words which come out, or normally people say, "Oh, mummy," so it should be, "Oh, Krishna." So this is how I test myself. Even when there is a difficult situation in your dream, okay, there is a car accident happening or something, it should be in the dream also, it should be that Krishna's words are names are coming out of your mouth as an instinctive reaction. Okay. And for that, you have to keep chanting as much as possible. On that note, I will end the session over here. Thank you for your time, guys. If you have any questions or comments, you can text me on chat, or maybe on the WhatsApp group, because we are out of time. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.